What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC football channel. Our 2019 college football schedule previews continue with the Missouri Tigers. You can see their schedule on your screen. This is a Missouri team that brings back a decent amount of talent. Of course, Kelly Bryant, the transfer quarterback from Clemson, coming in, so there were pretty high expectations for this team. Of course, the bowl ban now, a big issue. We talked about that on last Friday. And in that video, I said that it's not going to be that big of a deal because it's not like this team was going to get to the playoffs or a New Year's Six bowl or anything like that. But when you look at this schedule, I think a New Year's Six bowl would have been a possibility. I'm not saying that they would have gotten there, but the schedule sets up really, really well for this Missouri team. And so maybe they could have gotten to, say, 10-2 and gotten to a New Year's Six bowl. It's very possible, again, looking at the schedule. And I think even 9-3 would get you to a New Year's Six bowl. I don't remember the records of all the teams from last season. I think Florida had 3 losses, and they got to 1. So, yeah, 3 losses in the SEC, you could probably get there. And I think 3 losses could be a very, very reasonable goal for this Missouri team. Again, you look at this schedule. They open up on the road at Wyoming, and then they face a Missouri team that I think is going to be down a little bit. Then they have Southeast Missouri, South Carolina, Troy, Ole Miss, on the road at Vanderbilt, on the road at Kentucky, on the road at Georgia. There's a bye week between Kentucky and Georgia. Then Florida, Tennessee, and Arkansas. So this is a really nice schedule. You know, you want to face the weaker teams on the road. If you're going to have a chance to really do something big, you need your big games at home. You want to face your weaker teams on the road. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, I think are going to be 2 of the weaker teams in the SEC East. They play both of them on the road. Then they have Georgia on the road. And then their other road game against Arkansas, again, one of the weaker teams, the team that finished in last place in the West. And you look at their crossover games, Ole Miss and Arkansas, the 2 weakest teams from the SEC West. There isn't a big non-conference game. West Virginia is a pretty big game, but again, I don't think they're going to be all that good this year. So this schedule really sets up well, and it's kind of a bad news, good news, bad news type thing because, yes, it gives you the opportunity to do something special. If you go on the road, take care of business, and win some big games at home, you can have a great season. But on the flip side, if you slip up and get upset on the road, which happens in college football, and you get upset in a couple of those games against weaker teams, and you're not able to win the games at home, those big games, it could also lead to a really bad season. So it's kind of a high-risk, high-reward type schedule, if that makes sense. But, yeah, I think this did set up for Missouri to potentially have a great season. We'll see how the bowl ban and everything affects them. You look for the easy wins. You go to Southeast Missouri. I think that's a pretty much a guaranteed win. FCS opponent. Don't really expect them to have any problems there. Then you flip ahead and you look for the games that they should win, games that might be kind of close. They could potentially get upset, but you feel pretty confident that they're going to win. And you got Wyoming on the road. I think that's a very winnable game. They should win that game. And I realize that Troy beat LSU a couple of years ago, and this is a really good Group of 5 team, but playing at home, Missouri should be able to win that game. So that gets you 3 wins. You've got 3 pretty easy wins on the schedule. And then, again, you go through the schedule. I think Missouri will be favored against Ole Miss, favored against Vanderbilt. I think they'll be favored against Kentucky. I don't expect Kentucky to be quite as good as they were last year. And I think they'll be favored against Arkansas. I think they'll probably be favored against Tennessee at home because that game is at home. That's 8 wins already. I think they'll be favored against West Virginia. That's 9 wins. Probably at home against South Carolina. That's 10 wins. So all of a sudden, you're seeing how this could have come together and been a very special season. They've had a lot of success against Florida the last couple of years. They get them at home. So it's not crazy to think that Missouri could run through this schedule potentially at 11-1 with 1 loss to Georgia, but I don't know that that's going to happen. Again, there's just too many places where they could trip up. This team is going to be good, but they're not going to be that good in my opinion. So I'm going to actually say the best case scenario for this Missouri team is probably going to be about 10 wins. I think 10-2 would be a great season. I think that is very possible. Again, I don't see them beating Georgia on the road, and I just don't see them beating everyone else on their schedule. They might beat Florida, but they might lose to South Carolina, or they might lose on the road at Kentucky. There are just too many games in here that I think they could potentially slip up on, and that's why I think 10 wins is probably about the best case scenario. But on the flip side, worst case scenario, not that bad. 7 wins. I think you at least get to 7 wins. Again, we give them 3 wins right there. and then that leaves 9 games. If you win 4 out of those 9 games, that gets you to 7 wins. So I think 7 wins, very, very possible. I think they will get to 7 wins at least, unless this team just really falls apart. But the schedule, again, sets up really nicely. It could be a great season, I think, or it could potentially be a letdown season if you get upset against, say, Vanderbilt on the road or Arkansas on the road. So kind of an interesting way to look at it here. Which way will it go? I think it's more likely that they win 10 games than they win 7. I think 8 or 9 is more likely than 7 or 10. But again, if I'm saying, is it more likely that Missouri goes 10-2 or 7-5? I think it's more likely that they go 10-2 with this schedule. So one of the easier schedules we've seen, especially in the SEC. If West Virginia is really good, it definitely boosts the schedule, makes it a little bit tougher. But if they're down like I'm anticipating, the schedule really is not that bad. Thank you for watching this video. If you're an SEC football fan, please subscribe to the channel. Leave us your thoughts down in the comments below. And for the latest in SEC football, keep it right here.